And we're going to flip that onto its side, and now we can examine the tobacco.
This aroma is familiar, but to recognize it, I must construct my associations in one picture.
Alright, so this is a silly little puzzle or mini game that the game has you do. And it means that we're going to use our right stick to rotate the picture until we actually form it into a picture. Now the first thing we need to do is actually rotate it 180 degrees right or left so that the leaf ends up on our right hand side. Okay, that's the first thing you want to do. I want to also try and get the pipe a little bit over to the left. Okay, maybe if we move the picture a little bit. Now we're just trying to line up those lines. I generally have a lot of trouble with these, so you're going to have to bear with me a little bit. What I'll do is I'll just move. You can hold A on the leaf and just move it out of the way, and then it can move left and right, and then you can also move the smoking pipe up or down. I just want to move it out of the way, and what we want to do is actually just get the picture that we've got without them lined up as best we can. See, if you can see, I'm trying to match the sails together at this point. And the rest of the boat looks pretty good at this point. So now we can grab the leaf and bring it into where it should line up, somewhere there. And now also bring the pipe, and you'll see it matches up to just there somewhere. And there we go, just like that.
Horse tobacco, quite strong and very popular among sailors.
So that is one of the games that you can actually skip if you wanted to, if you had a bit of trouble with it. But then we wouldn't be heading towards our achievements for the 45 mini games or puzzles without skipping. Okay, so probably play around with that one until you get it. Now we want to examine the harpoon rack on the wall. So that's here.
The murder weapon was probably taken from this rack.
Yeah, so you can see that that's the same harpoon there that's sitting there. And now we want to open this wooden chest and examine. Two things you can look at in here. One of these navigation tools,
navigation instruments,
which don't really mean anything. And the second thing of interest is Peter Carey's boots. We're going to take those so that we can compare them to the footprints outside.
They look to be a size 8.
See if they are his outside and not a third party of any sort. Now we want to go here on the shelf there. There are ship's logs, so we're going to examine those.
The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878 to 1884. Peter Carey was her captain.
So that's important information. They're the logs for that time period. I think it was from 1878 to 1884. And that'll be more important when we find out some more information later. Now we're going to go to this shelf and examine some things here. First of all, a sperm whale tooth, so examine that.
A sperm whale, probably from one of Peter Carey's catches.
And as you can, if you can see here, there's sort of an outline of a rectangular shape. And I know because I've done it before, but that's all dust around there. And we're going to use RB again to use our investigation mode and look a bit closer at this outline in the dust. So examine that.
This place is not covered with dust, like the rest of the shelf. An object was taken from here. It was larger than a book, a box or a small chest, perhaps.
Okay, so that's another important clue. Now we want to go and test the boots with the footprints, but on the way out we're going to examine this map. And this map shows the route that Peter Carey's whaling boat took. Hammerfest. So remember that name, or the name of that place, Hammerfest, and it started down here in Dundee.
Dundee. It's a whaling map.
Okay, so let's head out to the footprints. Alright, here we go. And use Carey's boots. We're going to drag them down using A and then left stick. And we see that they don't fit.
Don't match the footprints.
All right, we found out a few little things, and we want to go and talk to the wife again and clear some things up with her. So let's go and do that.
Is this your husband's tobacco pouch?
I'm not sure. It might be. But he hadn't smoked in a very long time.
Your husband's private papers. Do you know where they are?
There was a small tin box, barely larger than a book. He kept his papers there. It should be somewhere in his cabin.
Thank you, madam.
Okay, so she doesn't think he's a smoker anymore, so that could be important. And now we have our first chance for what the game calls deductions. So we can deduct things about the case, and to do that we press Y. They're reminding us of that up in the top right hand corner there. So press Y. And the first deduction we are going to make is first of all with the notebook that we found dropped in the blood, and we're going to link that to break-in attempts because we think maybe they were trying to break in and get the notebook back. So let's have a look at that. So when you join two clues, it then gives you this, which is called a deduction. So we'll open that, and it tells us we need to do a task. An ambush must be made tonight to see if the break-in attempt will be repeated. So that's our next plan. So exit that.
Someone was here yesterday. They attempted to force the door to gain entry.
All right. So now we need to go and talk to the inspector about our ambush plans. So head back down here. And there's old Les. So we'll have a quick chat to him.
Well, Mr. Holmes, what do you think?
I think that we are lucky
And why is that?
because of last night's attempted break-in.
Oof, you've lost me.
It is very probable that whoever came here hoped to find the door open. They tried to force it with a knife blade, but they failed. What will they do? Why, return tonight, when they will be better prepared.
Aha! So what do you propose?
We shall remain on the outside, near the window, where we stand the best chance of catching sight of our visitor. Well, gentlemen, ready your pistols. We have a long night ahead of us.
Alright, so if you listen to that, that means you've got to head around the back to the window and wait for the ambush. So you just head round here, around the back of the cabin, and press A.
This looks like the perfect hiding place.
Shh! Did you hear that? There's someone there. I'm gonna collar him.
I'll be right behind you.
Police! Hold it right there!
Alright, so the inspector's gone without us. He's gone around the front to arrest the suspect. So let's go have a look.
All right, my fine fellow. Who are you and what are you doing here?
You're detectives, I suppose. You imagine that I'm connected with the death of Captain Carey. I assure you I'm innocent.
Innocence? And what are you doing in his cabin?
Shall I tell you? You came to retrieve what you had lost after killing Peter Carey, but we were here waiting for you.
What is your name?
John Hopley Nelligan, but I didn't...
Do you deny that you came here yesterday?
JHN.
No, but yes, it's just that I couldn't...
I'm tired of this. Off we go to the yard. Tomorrow, I'll see that you're put in front of the judge.
What? But you can't! I'm not... It's a terrible mistake!
Enough! You can explain all of that to the judge. You're coming with me to the yard.
But...
In light of recent events, it seems evident that your coming here was unnecessary. All the same, I'm very grateful to you, Mr. Holmes.
You are welcome, Inspector. But please don't be too hard on our young fellow. I would like to question him tomorrow morning.
Alrighty, so it's the following morning now, and we are going to question our suspect. First, we have to check in with the policeman here, so talk to him.
Good morning, Mr. Holmes. Can I help you?
Good morning, Constable. I would like to speak to the fellow who was arrested at Woodman's Lee last night.
Ah, the young man. He's waiting in the interrogation room. You can go straight through. His belongings are held in the evidence room.
Thank you.
Alright, and he mentioned the evidence room. If we head left, down this corridor, first door on the right, you can see there it says evidence room. So let's go in there. And our suspect's belongings are here. And if you remember...
Suspect's belongings.
You remember the initials on the notebook, JHN, John, I can't remember the middle name, something Nelligan is the suspect's name. So let's pick up the
The
notebook.
notebook that we found on Peter Carey's cabin floor.
Now it says there evidence required for us to investigate the notebook any further. So that means we're missing something, so we need to remember that we can come back to that later. Alright, so let's have a look at the knife.
A pocket knife. It was used to force the door of Peter Carey's cabin.
And the handkerchief.
A handkerchief with the initials JHN.
He certainly likes his initials on his things. And one more thing is a ring. Now we can rotate this as well, and we want to read the inscription and hover this over it. Wait till it turns blue.
R. Dawson.
And you actually need to do that in 3 sections. So 1,
To my
2,
friend
and 3.
and partner, 1883.
1883.
I've seen this name before. Perhaps my archive holds the answer.
And the name Dawson. So the name Dawson and the year 1883. And he said perhaps his archive holds the answer. That's basically his a bunch of newspapers basically back at Baker Street at his residence that we're going to need to go and search for the word Dawson and the number or the year 1883. Okay, so now back to the task at hand, which was to go and question the suspect. If you turn right out of the evidence room, head down the end through this gate and you'll see interrogation room here on our left. So in we go and we'll go talk to John. Alright, so we'll talk to him and we'll go through the bits of dialogue. At some point though there is going to be a QTE event, so just get ready for that.
Does this notebook belong to you?
Yes. But where did you find it? I did not know... I thought I'd lost it at the hotel.
What do these abbreviations mean?
Oh no, I beg you, I can't. If I told you, it would only make things worse.
But I will find out eventually, Mr. Nelligan. The sea knife was found near Carey's body. Tell me, Mr. Nelligan, did Mr. Carey try to defend himself or to attack you with it?
I don't know. I didn't kill anyone.
And the gold ring should be
The police seized the
QTE coming
ring
up.
from you. Whose is it?
I didn't steal it from anyone. It has always belonged to me.
So he's not telling the truth there. And the reason we know is it's got an engraving from 1883. And we know that it's 1895 right now, so he would have been too young to have a ring like that. So let's question him.
The ring's date of engraving is many years ago. You would have been a child then, hardly in any position to receive such an item from a partner.
And here is our next opportunity for a character portrait. So we're going to do that straight away. And you'll see the first thing we can click on is his hat. So do that. Move down with RB. There'll be a patch here on his shoulder, so click on that. Continue down. The sleeve lights up blue, so click on that. Expensive fabric. And the button there, elaborate buttons. So this is telling us that it's a very nice jacket. Can he afford a jacket like that is the point of that. It's got short sleeves, so it also doesn't fit him, so maybe it's not his. Now he's got calluses on his hands and scars as well. And if we keep going around, I have missed something. Let me just double check. What is it that we've missed? It is something on his neck. Here we go. A thin neck. Not sure the point of that, but that's the character portrait complete. And let's talk to him again.
So, Mr. Nelligan, who is the...
And be ready for another
the ring?
QTE.
The ring is mine.
And there we go. X before the time runs out. Very easy. And that whole portrait was to do with the jacket. So the only thing we can choose that matches that is that it may possibly be his father's jacket. So let's do that.
No, Mr. Nelligan. I believe that the ring had belonged to your father.
Oh, but how do you know?
The jacket you are wearing is made of an expensive fabric that only a man of exceptional wealth could afford. You do not seem to me to be a rich man, Mr. Nelligan. Furthermore, the garment is ill-fitting. It is quite clear that it belonged to someone else, most probably your father. With your father gone and taking with him the family's wealth, as a little boy you had to find yourself a manual job, and it was most probably cleaning fish. You cut your hands often while working. I can tell from the scars.
I'm speechless, Mr. Holmes. It all happened exactly as you say.
Well, I will see you soon, young man.
Please, let me go. I'm innocent.
Quite clever, isn't he, Mr. Holmes? All right. Now we've got another opportunity for a deduction. So press Y. And now we're going to link break-in attempts. And we're going to link it to Nelligan's notebook, because we know he was in there previous to the night we found him there, because his notebook was in there. Okay, and so here's the deduction that has, I guess, given us. So we'll click on that. The break-in attempts were made in order to recover the notebook that had been lying in a pool of the victim's blood. This proves the guilt of the person who made these attempts. Now, I'm not too sure that he is breaking in there to retrieve the notebook, because he seemed genuine that he didn't know it was there. So he may have been breaking in for another reason. And of course, I have already played through this, so I do know. So I hope I'm not spoiling too much, but just trying to plant a few seeds. All right, let's back out of there. And we can actually do another deduction. It's still giving us that indication on the top right there. So let's do another one. And this is to do with how our victim died. Swift actions is the first thing we want to click on. He was armed with his knife but didn't have time to use it. So the murderer acted quickly and instinctively. And they pinned him to the wall. So that matches the first clue. So click that one as well. And it brings us to another deduction. So we'll click on that. And it brings us to a task again. We need to find out whether an unskilled and untrained man could use a harpoon well enough to kill by fully piercing a body. So we're going to do an experiment. All right, back out of there.
Reconstruction. I'm sure that Watson would be happy to oblige.
And that's a hint on where we need to travel next. So, and that there you can see the three portraits we've got so far. We've got Judith Carey, our first suspect John Nelligan, and the victim Peter Carey. And now let's head back to the map. So they just hinted that we need to get Watson to help us with the experiment, and he'll be back at Baker Street. So let's head there. Alrighty, we're going to have to call that a video. We are going to continue case 1 very shortly, but for now, I'd like to thank you all very much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please remember to give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. It will help out a lot, and I will catch you all next time.